Out.
No,
It's
okay.
okay.
But so
For me, what I'm trying to capture in the film, in all the films that I do, is to not only to capture the space, but to show in my film the community, okay, on where the characters are. I think it is very important because in my film I don't only show the story, but I show the culture, and in this kind of community are part of our culture. Like in Foster Child, I'll show this community. In Tirador and Sling Shop, I show this kind of community that is so different from Foster Child, but more or less they're on the same level, which is they're in the lower middle class, which is poverty. It is very apparent in all my films because that's what the Philippines is all about. The Philippines is about 90% of the population are poor, and only 10% are above the middle class, which are the very rich. So I think it's important to me that to show the 90% story of these people. And in showing their story, I have to show in the community on where they are exactly, where they exist, on where they like interact with one another. So that's why you always see that in my film. And I just want to be as close and as honest as possible to the reality of where the story is really happening. In the Philippines, in our country, it's basically a matriarchal country. So the women plays a very important role in our lives, both in political and in social situation in the Philippines. Like as you know, in the Philippines we have like 2 presidents, women presidents, right? And the person behind the strong man in the Philippines is Ferdinand Marcos, is Imelda Marcos, right? So it just reflects about our culture, which is very matriarchal, and basically it's being ruled by the women. The women plays a very important, not only important, but very strong characters in our lives as Filipinos. So I think if there's any relation, it's that. In all my films, like women are kind of strong and powerful and willful and yeah. These characters in my films are also very important when I put like children or teenagers in the film, because like what they say, they're always like the hope of the future, the hope of the country. But the sad thing about it is that like not only in Tirador or in Foster Child, like in Foster Child, you know, you have to go through this very emotional process of, you know, of bringing the child to this very rich family in order for him to have a very good life. Right, but you have to go to this process, you know, this very painful emotional process by bringing him, you know, from taking care of this child and then bringing him to these adoptive parents. And also in Tirador, you have to be exposed with this kind of, you know, it's something that they are not in control with, because they are born in this kind of society and in this kind of environment which they are not really, you know, they can't do anything, you know. They are in this kind of situation that they have to live, they have to exist. Also in service, you know, remember the child in the service, he was like exposed and born in this environment which, you know, which is so immoral in a way, because he doesn't know any difference. He was born in this kind of environment. He was like, the pornography is right in front of him, the real and unreal, you know, and it's like it's in front of him and he can't do anything, because that's the situation that he has to accept, and he doesn't have a choice. The choice that have to be done are from his parents, which his parents doesn't have a choice also. He has to exist and he has to live in this kind of environment. So it's a sad reality that I'd like to portray in my film. And the reason why I'm portraying this is because it's real and it's happening. And if there's anything the government or the institution or whoever who is in charge, you know, can do something about it, probably they can do something about it. Because if you don't tell this story, then nobody will. For a filmmaker's point of view, my greatest fulfillment, I think, as a filmmaker, if I be able to touch one person or two person among the audience, and that may be able to think about the situation or about even their lives, okay, then I'll be successful. Then somehow I was able to achieve my goal, you know. Because for me as a filmmaker, I think I've done my part in telling this story and bringing this story, you know, on screen and make people realize about something about their life. Now if they get affected by it, or probably about other people's life, and then if they do something about it. Because from the filmmaker's point of view, I think I've done my part in bringing this story. And as an artist, I think I did my part, you know, in telling this story. And then the rest should be done by other people who are in charge, you know, the people who are in the government, the people who are supposed to be the one in charge about these things that are happening in the movie, in the film that I'm talking about, or in the characters that I'm talking about. Well, some people think that are not supposed to be seen. They're too like pornographic in a way, and they're too private that are not supposed to be seen. They're not supposed to be like the smell are not supposed to be smell. You know, they're not supposed to be touched, because you can see all the dirt. And you can see you can almost feel and almost smell the surrounding. But that's the thing that I'm trying to portray. I'm trying to show in the film that this is not just a film viewing. This is like an experience for the audience. I'm bringing the audience too close to the film. I'm bringing them inside, you know, inside my cinema, inside the story already. It's not just like viewing from, you know, from a point of view of a viewer. You're seated on your chair and watching the film. I'm already bringing them closer. I'm not even closer, but inside there. That's why it turned off a lot of people, because there are people who don't want to experience that. But there are brave enough people who wants to go and experience that process, you know, and watch it as it happens and see it what it happens. Because there are times that we don't want to see things that are too gross for us. We don't want to see this. I mean, they're too much for us. But that's the kind of truthfulness that I want to show in my film. I mean, not only the experience, but you almost touch it, you can almost see it, and you can almost smell it, and you have to see it in your own eyes. Yeah. You know what's really happening. Exactly, because yeah, like in the Philippines, everybody talks about this, and it's like an open secret, but nobody wants to see it. Yeah. I mean, it's like everybody knew about this. Everybody knew that there exists a cinema like this. Yeah. But nobody wants to, you know, talk about it. They know that things like this happens inside the cinema, but. And when you ask them, did you ever see it? Yeah, but they would say, yeah, but I didn't want to see it. I don't want to look at it. You know, it's too gross for us. But these things are happening, and you know, it's really up to the person. If the person is really brave enough to look at this and, you know, see for themselves that, oh yeah, this thing is really happening, and why does this thing happens? And I think that should be the next question for the viewer when they see such thing. You know, when they see a young boy giving a blowjob with an old gay or an old homosexual, is something that would really not only want to make you know feel bad, but it would really make you think as an audience, why would such a person do this, you know? Yeah.